Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Today's show, we're going to be talking recruiting. And our guest today is one of the top coaches in the state of Louisiana at Leesville High School, one of the traditional schools over the last 40 years in Louisiana. Head coach Robert Causey. Robert, thanks for joining us.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I don't know if I'm classified as one of the top coaches in the state, but I sure do appreciate it.
Hey, man, you do a great job in Leesville. The last in 220, 219, 218. I mean, you win with what you have. You do a good job of developing the players, and I just admire you from afar because I know you don't dress 100 guys that can go out there and play that are 6'5" across. So, but I think you do a great job with the players you have. You got some tough kids, though.
We do. A lot of credit goes to our coaching staff that we have. Football is a sport. You can't do it by yourself. It's not like it's baseball or basketball where all you really need is one guy. I mean, you've got to have help. And having continuity on the staff, Justin Scoggin, he has just been a phenomenal addition 5 years ago to the staff. And just keeping the staff together has been a blessing. You know, he handles the offensive side of the ball with Miles Landingham, Logan Cranbuell. They do a really good job on the defensive side of the ball. Billy Flowers, Ted Clemens, myself. This year, Johnny Brown helped, the guy that we brought on. So just having continuity on the staff makes it easy. I think that's one of the key things to having a successful program. And then you got to have support from above. From your administration, central office administration, and then you got to have some athletes. You know, you can't win without this. You got to have some things, you know, and every place is different. You know, their things look a little different. I think that what you got is you got to maximize what you have in your community. You know, you start them young and you build, and it goes in your program. You get those kids just to go compete. At the end of the day, that's what you want them to remember is the lessons learned from playing the game of football and teach them that, you know, how to compete. Two things you always control is your attitude and your effort. Other than that, you don't really control anything. And every day's different. Every day's a competition. Every day could be a struggle. But, you know, you just got to get up. You got to go compete with a great attitude. And I think we do a pretty good job with that within our program. We've been very fortunate.
Coach, we're going to take a break. Look, Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to get into your team and lead into that. We'll be right back with head coach Robert Causey, the head coach of the Leesville Wampus Cats. In between Alexandria and Lake Charles and not far from Alexandria, a hotbed of talent and a lot of great people. We'll talk about Leesville High School more with Robert Causey when we come back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. Our guest today is Robert Causey, the head football coach from Leesville High School. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Coach, I want to talk about your seniors. And first guy, I know you texted me earlier today, and I told you, I said, man, I want to get you on to promote one of the biggest, most underrated skilled playmakers in the state the last 4 years. Your guy, Caleb Gallashaw, who is, you know, throw out the height and weight and all that. He's a super ball player, 5'8", 180, 178, can run, and great balance, great hands, great routes, great feet. Has ran for, just in 220, I knew he ran for 1,364 yards and 20 touchdowns. And this year, Coach, what did he run for this year?
Almost 1,800 yards.
Wow.
You know, we're a balanced attack. You know, that's what's different. I mean, you talk about this guy, man, what a phenomenal young man. He's a stud. He came to us, he started the last 7 games of his freshman season. He came to us. And I said, I'm moving you up, but you're going to spend a month on scout team, and you've got to earn your right. You've got to earn your stripes. And I expect you to do everything that a scout team kid would do. You better run the card the way it's supposed to. You better follow the red arrow.
Yeah.
And so, and he did. And he waited. He was such a disciplined kid with the way that he ran the football. And he started his freshman year, the last 7 games, and when the year we went to the semifinals. And he's been our starting tailback ever since.
Coach, I want to mention this. I've seen him play a few times for you. I've seen him play full games and not just highlight tapes. And he's electrifying. He's got a big time heart. He's got great talent. I think he's D1, just like you. I think he's a D1 player. But recruiting is really crazy the last 10 years, especially since COVID. And Coach, what's your thoughts with the evaluation of kids now based on rankings? Because I'm not a rankings guy. I'm a guy that either you can play D1 or you can't. And here's a guy that you told me today has no D1 offers or no 1AA offers.
How do you overlook a kid that's that explosive in a very balanced offense? He is the 3rd leading rusher in Leesville Wildcat football history, only trailing Collins and Michael Fuller, who toted the ball every time the ball was snapped.
And Eddie Fuller went there. Eddie Fuller went there too.
Yeah, that's right. But in a balanced attack, if we'd have given him the football 35 to 40 times a game, his numbers would be through the roof. But we're very balanced with our offensive attack. And so, he did what we asked him to do. And so you need to talk about recruiting. How do you measure explosiveness?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? I just think recruiting that the local schools has changed. They're going outside the realm of their local support, where people will fill the stands to come watch, buy your gear, support your logo here in the community, build local rivalries within the communities, because kids would be leaving these schools to go play for you within an hour and a half drive. We're missing that regional connection with our universities the way it used to be through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Where kids would leave here and go play at the next level. They'd go to Northwestern, McNeese. They would go play at Tech, and then they would play in the rivalries, and people would wear their school colors in town and have those friendly rivalries within the community, and then go watch those kids. I think local universities are missing out. They're going too far away to end up with the same result, where you could stay home with local kids throughout the communities and surrounding area where people would support you with seats in the stands. They put butts in the seats at the games, and he's one that is overlooked. I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's when his brother was here, we were told by local university that, he only runs the G in the trap. Well, that's never stopped the running back from Acadiana, John Curtis, Manny,
right.
Bird, right. West Monroe with Tommy Banks ran the midline.
Right.
All good. All these schools are sending kids to the next level that, they're not running the inside, outside zone. They're not running the power, the gap schemes, whatever you want to call it. And so, you hear stuff like that, and it builds a level of mistrust with the evaluation of the kids, if that's what you're going with, and yet you're signing other ones. There's a mistrust there.
Coach, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I want to ask you a key question. Do you think, because I've seen it, and some of it's on the NCAA with restrictions, which I think I don't agree with, but do you think the lack of being able to go to games and be at the school and be around these kids is hurting local recruiting, and they're going more portal because they're not coming to the games as much as they used to?
I think it's all. I think you can't point to one thing, honestly. Yeah. But this has been building. This has been building for quite a while. You take out the restrictions, I still think this is something that's a byproduct of long before the COVID stuff hit, honestly. Through the social media, the internet, the widespread, we have access. You find things a little bit outside, a little bit more attractive than what you find at home.
Yeah.
All these schools ought to be there. How many schools come in to take kids?
Yeah.
Build a wall around that. Build a wall around Louisiana. Every school should try to build a wall around Louisiana and keep these kids at home, because you can compete. There's some good athletes all throughout this state that's being overlooked. Just not my guy. You know, I mean, I'm gonna defend the Wampus Cats, and I'm gonna defend my kids and support my kids. But you know, there's a lot of other schools that have some good ball players that are being overlooked because of the NCAA with the transfer portal pushing down, and high school kids not getting this opportunity. I think they didn't look far enough ahead to see problems. They didn't have enough forethought in their decisions that they made. And then the recruiting game, as far as going out, going beyond, you know, they're going 6 hours away from where they, you know, from the school, and they're looking beyond it, guys. And how many towns are they driving through to go to, you know, Texas, West Texas, to go into North Arkansas, to go into how many schools?
And Coach, we got the talent. We got the talent here that you're passing through. You got the talent.
I believe so. I mean, we play there's some good quality football in the state of Louisiana. You know, there's some good coaches. I'm telling you, every Friday night there's a battle, you know, with the coaches that, you know, at least on our schedule, they've made our program better because these kids are well coached or good athletes that could find a place somewhere at the local schools. Just not my guy. You know, I'm not just talking about him. There's a lot of good football players that are missing an opportunity to have a college education.
Coach, I wish the NCAA will allow more guys on the road and let them get on the road more often and go to the schools without limits, and go back to the old days, the 80s and 70s, where you could just, you know, not be limited to one time at the school, or maybe go 5 times.
You know, and then you've got these satellite camps and stuff, and they're pushing so many kids through, and they cherry pick this kid and that kid, and then what happens is all it takes is one kid to get a D1 offer or vote on social media, and then they offered him, so we have to offer him. And there's not a lot of real evaluation like it used to be, where you got out and you saw, and, you know, just doing a cone drill and timing a forward on some sort of bogus one-on-one, whether it's pass rush or pass route, that's not a great evaluation of what a kid. You got to measure your kid's competitiveness, his heart, his struggles, how he overcomes. You got to get out and talk to people in the school, you know, to see what they're like in the hallways, the counselors, the teachers, the custodians. You know, you want the best to come to university. Well, you've got to do your due diligence, and it's not on a highlight tape on Twitter or seeing somebody else offering and you offering. You've got to get out and you got to get, you call it boots on the ground, and you got to get hands on people where you can talk to them and have those conversations, because your job is based on at the next level of being able to sign kids that produce, stay with your program to produce.
Yeah, Coach, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the rest of your seniors, some guys that might could go junior college, D2, D3, or 1AA. I know you got some other guys I want to talk about, and you got some young guys coming back next year. But we've got Coach Robert Causey, the head football coach from Leesville, the Wampus Cats. Kevin Mawai's in the Hall of Fame. Ray Smoot came out of there. Eddie Fuller, Cecil Collins, Kavita Pittman, and Vincent Brown. We can go on and on and on and on. So many great players who come out of this school. Many, many, many players. We're going to talk about some of his other players when we come right back. We're going to take a break. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center, located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our guest today is head coach Robert Causey, the head football coach at Leesville High School. And if you're not from Cenlaw area, or you're not from Lake Charles, you're not from Alexandria, I mean, it's, you know, as Coach will tell you, it's a rock throw to get to Lake Charles. It's not very far from Alexandria. You know, you can be at either direction in not a long time. And you're not really that far from Monroe, Coach, to tell you the truth. And I want to tell you, you've got some other guys coming back that finished their senior year this year, some good kids. And I watched your guys, and I really was impressed with some of you guys here. And I know some are going to fit the junior college. Some are going to go D2, D3 in 1AA. But talk about Davian Grubb, Zach Mayberry, Darian Beebe, who's a good-looking O-lineman. I thought he was good, not tall, but just a great player. A.J. Bush, Kamari Pruitt, Jamarian Henderson, and Nathan Mawai. And those are some guys just to throw out that I know that I wanted to mention for you and your team.
Well, I know you got me on the time limit, so let me just go quick.
Right.
You mentioned a lot of good kids. We had a really good senior class. We were very glad to have these come through the program. It was an honor to coach them. Nathan Milan, I'll try to go backwards there with the guys you mentioned. 6 foot, 195 pounds, outside linebacker, boundary guy. He played everywhere for us. Offense, defense. He could put his hand in the dirt, play in space. He played tight end, fullback. He was a vertical threat. He was just a all-purpose type of athlete this past year. Very versatile. Really a heavy football player. So whoever can get him, man, what a find you're gonna get with that guy because he can do so much on either side of the football. And for us, he was the leader of our defense, and we had toward the end of the year, we really started playing really good football on the defense side of the ball, and a lot of that was attributed to him and being a 2-year starter. A lot of big plays on offense came from the fact that we could put him in at tight end and use him as a blocker and as a vertical threat. A.J. Bush was another guy. He could play anywhere on the field, quarterback, running back, fullback, wing, tight end, safety, linebacker. It was like we got to find one spot for him. He's not the fastest guy on the field, but he was a precision route runner, and really it was just a good all around decent athlete that was like it was very hard to find just one spot for him. He backed up everywhere. We said he was our most valuable player. Kamari Pruitt, 5'10", 190-pound wide receiver. The tight guy, long jumper. Made a lot of big plays for us in the past. Where runners, what I call it. Vertical, crossing routes, hitches, screens. He was a physical kid too, on the perimeter blocking. Davion Grubb, man, what a senior year he had. He was our big play guy in the passing game, the jump ball. He went one-on-one with any DB. He was a guy that teams, you really couldn't double anybody that we had on offense because the skill guys that we had were pretty competitive in 4A. But when you soloed up Grubb, he was a big play guy, and everybody had trouble with him. Defensively, Jamion Henderson, he was an outside linebacker, strong safety that, ended up with the ability to put his hand in the dirt and played our weak end. He was second on the team, defensive line with tackles and sacks. He did a really good job for the defensive side of the ball. Darion Beebe, not great. He was our stalwart at the tackle. And he just pretty much locked down the right side, and he could call the protections. He knew punts. He made blocking assignments for adjustments with our guys being a 3-year starter. We were really blessed, in having some really good seniors. One of them, Lane South was a bruiser, a fullback, hammer.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He was just, man, and he could catch the ball. So, he was so versatile. He could have played defensive line, could have played linebacker for us, but he was just a guy that was like, listen, he could come in and he's going to be our sniffer, our eighth, our tight end, our fullback. And we could just hammer inside with him, and he was very deceptive with his speed and with his hand, and he was such a good receiver as well. So we had some really good ball players this year, seniors that are going to be graduating. Our stud, our dog was Caleb Gallashaw. I think he's D1. I think a lot of these other guys, look at the D2, NAIA, JUCO. Just, you got to get here. You got to see the kids. Because I think we've really had a good bunch of seniors that can play at the next level.
Coach, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to ask you your opinion of the hire of Coach Kelly at LSU. And Corey Raymond tonight took the Florida job as a DB coach. Kind of a shocker a little bit there, but get your opinion of the hire for Coach Kelly and LSU from Notre Dame. I like the hire. We'll talk about that. We'll have more with Coach Robert Causey, the head coach of Leesville Wampus Cats. We'll be right back. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You're listening to Sports Scouting Report. I hope you're enjoying the show. Robert Causey's team, we wanted to promote a lot of his sleeper players. And, Coach, I want to bring you back and get your thoughts on Coach Kelly being hired from Notre Dame and LSU. What are your thoughts on the hire?
I thought it was a good hire. I don't know the guy personally. I know his track record in the places that he's been. He's a proven winner. He knows how to build one. He knows how to maintain it. One that's already, been established. He has a variety of a background, from different levels of coaching at the college level. It's all the way from I think D3 all the way up to FCS.
Mm-hmm.
And so once he got, I think it was Central Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame. The guy just when he got up to the to the Power Five. He's maintained a high level of excellence at Notre Dame and kept them competitive and very tough academic structure. Being able to be brought into LSU, I'm excited to see what he can do. A lot of people don't like change,
right?
But I'm gonna tell you what, there's a lot of similarities when you look at him. With Nick Saban when he came from Michigan State, a lot of similarities. If you look at Paul Dietzel when he came from West Point, there's an assistant coach, that came from the North into LSU. Charlie Mack came from Kentucky. He was an assistant at Kentucky when he came in as an assistant to LSU.
That's a good point.
They've had a lot of good success from coaches that came from outside the region that have come in that have changed the culture a little bit. That changed it to what they felt like that it needed to change into. And so I'm curious to see. I'm excited for him. I hope he does well. I hope he continues to reach out to the high school coaches in the state, whether we have a guy that he needs or not. Make us feel wanted, because every now and then we'll have one, and we'll remember those relationships, that he developed with when we didn't have a guy that he needed. So I'm excited for him to see what they do and how he builds LSU into what he thinks that he needs it to be.
Coach, I hope to work with him. I'm working with Terry Bowden right now at ULM, and I've been, I've watched all the teams the last 30 years and still keep up with all these guys, and I hope to help the kids with LSU and look forward to helping Coach Kelly. And I want to ask you about UL in Lafayette. Coach DeSarmo got the head job. Mike did. He's been on the staff for a long time. And Napier went to Florida. Do you like the hire, staying within the staff at UL?
I do sometimes the best years for somebody that knows what the expectations are.
Yeah.
I think, time will tell if it was the right hire or not, but all of us have been in that boat before that are a head coach. I wish him the best. It goes back to, again, is the relationships, keep the relationships with the coaches in the state, develop them, nurture them, keep your doors of the university open for us, and you'll still get the best the state has to offer, and which will continue their success. At ULL. And then, with Napier going to Florida, I thought it was a great hire for Florida as well. Because things change, you never really know when you hire a guy and what they bring in. Everybody is so competitive in the SEC. Somebody's got to lose every day.
Right.
It just keeps the intensity up, and it makes it for exciting football. He's building a staff that has a lot of Louisiana ties, but I'm pretty sure the coaches here in this state of all the state universities and LSU, so they got plans to lock the door on I-10 and I-20 going into the state.
Coach, any thoughts on Louisiana Tech and who you think they should hire in Ruston? I mean, they've had success. Skip Holtz is gone, and they had some great coaches go through there over the years. Coach Croton, Coach Joe Raymond Peace, a lot of good coaches come through Tech. Derek Dooley was there. He was actually a winner at Tech before Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But any thoughts on that Tech job? I mean,
Chumby, coming in from Tech, Louisiana Tech offense. They've always kind of geared toward being, having explosive offenses and being able to move the ball, and that's always kind of where they've hung their hat.
Yeah,
the offensive side of the ball, and that kind of gives them a little bit of a niche in the state. They've always been real competitive because of offense, and I think Chumby coming in, I actually think that was a very good hire. I thought they did a really good job of. They know who they are, and they went after somebody that kind of fits that mold. You got to know who you and be within. What your strengths and weaknesses are at the university, no different than a high school, and I think Tech did a really good job with that hire.
And you know what, Coach? I just thought of something. He's the second Texas Tech background guy besides, remember, Dykes? Coach Dykes came from there at Tech.
That's right. That's right. And he had success as well. So, I'm excited. My family is on my daddy's side are a lot of Tech people from Ruston, and so we was always big Tech people growing up. So I'm excited to see what they can do up there for the Bulldogs.
Hey, I want to do a shout out to the city of Leesville. In 1989, Coach, when I graduated from high school, I didn't have any money to go to college, and I took a job building tennis courts. And one of the first jobs I took, they said, "You're going to be going to Leesville, Louisiana, Lee, to build tennis courts at Fort Polk." I said, "Where's Leesville?" I'm 18 years old. And I went to Leesville, and we worked 14, 15-hour days. And I really enjoyed being there those 3 months, building tennis courts on Fort Polk, the base. People don't realize how big that base is.
It's massive. It's the largest training base in the world for what they do, the live training with the JRTC. It's live training, and man, the community, they bring in troops from all over the world to train, and the people that work there from the surrounding areas, community, and it really gives us an identity, and it's about giving back to our country. There's a lot of love for a lot of patriots here. People really love the country, the state, and what it does and provides, and what we're trying to do to help with the military. Louisville, it's kind of out of the way, but man, it's such a good place to raise a family. Love the outdoors, and it's got that small town feel. Even though it has that large military base, it has that small town feel. It's a really good place. I've been here since 1999 as an assistant coach, as an assistant principal, and back to an assistant coach, and then 1 month later being the head football coach. I've been here a long time, and it's been a blessing. God opened the door for me, and He's kept me here, and it's been a blessing.
Coach, one last question, and I thought you would love this question. I know one of your players, Nathan Mawai, is the nephew of Kevin Mawai. And Kevin Mawai is, in the NFL, as you know, as an O-line coach, former LSU All-American. What do you think of the chances? Do you think Kelly should consider him being on that staff with him? I mean, I think Kevin's ready to be a full-time O-line. I know he loves LSU.
I think you have to look at every coach and see what they bring to the table that could benefit a university, and there's no greater ambassador for Louisiana LSU than Kevin Mawai. I think his track record speaks of what he can teach and bring to the table in recruiting and walking into a young man's home and what he represents for this state and his pedigree. I can't think of a better person to represent LSU and what you're trying to build.
Yeah,
Kevin Mawai. So, if Coach Kelly's listening, I've already got your O-line coach hired for you. Just call.
Just call Coach Causey. He can get in touch with
I got you. I got that one taken care of. The rest of them on you. We've got your O-line coach taken care of.
And I've got Kevin's cell, so I can help him too on that one. Kevin was calling me at Arizona State, and hadn't talked to him since he's been in the NFL, but I love Kevin. I watched him play in Leesville. Coach, I remember the All-Star game in Tiger Stadium. He played for Leesville in the All-Star game, and him and Ray Smoot played in that game from Leesville. Both signed at LSU in the same year, and both were drafted the same year from LSU from one high school, Leesville Wampus Cats. Isn't that incredible? Coach, I appreciate
listen, Kevin still wears. He wants Wampus Cat gear. He'll still wear it. He is. When he played, he wore his Wampus Cat shirts. Me and his brother, who's now our principal, Mark Mawai. We would send Kevin gear, and he'd wear his Wampus Cats shirt underneath the shoulder pads. He was always calling and checking on us.
Wow.
And supportive of Wampus Cats football. I still send you some stuff, just for him to rep it. He is a great ambassador for Leesville, Louisiana, and LSU. The Colts are lucky to have him. I'm telling you. If I was him, I'd do what I could to keep him there, but I'm hoping Coach Kelly goes after him, honestly.
Well, this will go out all over the state Friday, and Coach Kelly, I hope you hear this show, man. We got to get Kevin an interview, get him that job. And, Coach, thanks for taking the time. We got to get some scholarships for your guys, and especially Caleb Gallashaw. I know he's deserving. I think in the end, especially doing a show like this, I think we're going to help him out. I was with some Southeastern coaches today. I was talking to some coaches yesterday, and I'm going to help him and get his name out there and help you out.
I appreciate what you do, not only for our kids, but all the kids in the state. And, just giving us a chance to get our kids out there. We really do appreciate you.
Coach, don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the show. Go to lafootballmagazine.com. You can see how to order a magazine. If you're listening from Leesville, we've got Leesville in our preview. We sent Coach one this summer like we do every year. You can get a North edition or a South edition. Go to lafootballmagazine.com. We'll see you on Monday.
Come and visit the majestic mansion in the marsh, Gros Savon, Waterfowl, and Wildlife Lodge. Gros Savon is the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has everything for you from fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco-tours. Located south of Lake Charles. Call 337-598-2357 or visit www.grossavon.com for more information and schedule your trip to the majestic mansion in the marsh, Gros Savon, Waterfowl, and Wildlife Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise today.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.